The last time the Phillies ran into the Milwaukee Brewers was about 6 weeks ago, and it didn't go very well. The Brew Crew arrived at Citizens Bank Park swinging their bats and didn't stop until they finished the sweep, and were heading out of town. The rematch has arrived, but the dugouts look a bit different this time around. It's a busy weekend in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and the outlying areas. About an hour and 15 minutes north, it's the PGA Championship. Right around the corner, it's the State Fair. And right here at Miller Park, it's Game 1 of a 3-game series between the Phils and the Milwaukee Brewers. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Matt Stairs. You know, the last time these two teams faced each other, the Brewers walked away with a 4-game sweep. The Phillies were shocked by that. Phillies are a totally different ball club than they were back then. The Brewers, personnel-wise, are different, but it was a surprising series.
Well, it was. It was a surprising series. A lot of offense, which I like to talk about. You know, and really it didn't matter what our guys threw up. These guys hitting balls left field, right field, straightaway center. You know, last meeting, this is Game 3 right here. Adam Lynn in the first inning gets a fastball up in the zone. Now, I'm going to be talking about location a lot in the series, because a lot of times the balls are up in the zone for base hits. You know, then Braun comes up here, takes an awkward swing, hits a ball just inside of first base. But when things are going well, you get those type of hits. Scooter hits a ball deep to left center. He's on the horse scooting around the bases. So, like I said, these balls are up in the zone. They're getting pitches in the head of the count, 2-0, 2-1, whatever it is. They win Game 3. Now they're going for the sweep, Game 4. 11th inning, Adam Lynn, fastball off the middle, first pitch from Garcia. So it's one of these guys are making, they're jumping all over mistakes, which is key when you want to win a series. You know, and look at the numbers right here. The last time these guys played back home, you know, 364. Our guys hit 281, 19 runs. But the number that really stands out to me, they were out hit 59 to 43. And I'm not talking about just base hits, straightaway center. Look at the spray chart. All the balls hit the right field. Majority of them are hit by right-handed hitters, which means they're getting the ball up in the zone, driving the ball, letting the ball get deep, not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. And that's the reason why they end up having 59 hits that series.
It was an impressive offensive display by the Brewers. They're a little different now. They don't have Gerardo Parra. They don't have Carlos Gomez, but they still have Ryan Braun and Adam Lynn, who was really a big gun in that series. And these are all guys now that Adam Morgan has to deal with. Now, Adam Morgan's coming off a victory in his last outing against the San Diego Padres.
Well, he's coming off a victory versus San Diego Padres, where he had great command of all of his pitches. I thought his slider was very good. He had a very good break, that back foot to right-handed, which is a key pitch for him in this series and tonight. His changeup is very good. It's almost like a Bugs Bunny changeup. You think it's a fastball, all of a sudden it stops right at the point of contact. I'd like to see him get the ball down the zone a little bit more. That way, when he does elevate a ball, it changes the eyes of the hitter. You know, and you can see right here, lefties versus righties. I like the fact that it's 222 average versus left-handers. 296 against right-handers, yeah, but it's a 15 extra base hits, which means he has the ball up in the zone too much. So you need to get the ball down away from right-handers. That will make the fastball inside a lot better. But when the ball is getting up in the zone, he's throwing about 89, 90 miles an hour. That's why there's a lot of extra base hits.
All right, well, the Phils are looking to continue what's been a good road trip so far, 4-2, looking for win number 5 here tonight in Milwaukee. It will be Adam Morgan, 9th Major League start of the year. Willie Peralta making his 13th start for the Brewers. When we return, we'll go back to the Comcast Sportsnet studios. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. Buy Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Buy Citizens Bank, one deposit checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. Buy Budweiser, still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. And buy Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IBX.com. In series, and game one is pending. Chase Utley, well, there's been a lot of talk about Chase Utley and whether he'll still be a Philly by the end of next week or by the end of this year. Chase, though, knows that he is leading off tonight, playing second base for the Phils. Let's take a look at the rest of their lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Phils. After Utley, it's Cesar Hernandez, who's playing third base. Then Odubel Herrera and Ryan Howard. Dominic Brown's in right field. He'll bat fifth. Batting sixth is Freddie Galvis. And the bottom third of Ashley Rupp and Adam Morgan. And they will face right-hander Willie Peralta, who has not had the same year this year that he had a season ago, just 2-7, making only his 13th start of the season. He was on the disabled list with a strained left oblique muscle. And like a lot of things with the Brewers this year, Matt, it just hasn't gone the way of Willie Peralta.
No, it hasn't gone his way, and it's all about command. As you see the Budweiser scouting report, he will top out at 97 miles an hour. Power arm, although the league is hitting .347 versus his fastball, and he only uses his changeup 5.3% of the time.
Well, with that in mind, it's time now for our Nissan keys to the game.
Well, key number one versus Peralta, ready for the heater. He throws it 65% of the time. Like I just said, .347 versus his fastball. And Morgus established low and away on all his pitches. And I'll go into more detail on that when he takes the mound.
All right, well, Chase Utley digs in. Utley 3 for 8 in the last series, 7 for 17 on the road trip, but he takes the first pitch upstairs. 1 ball, no strikes. We're underway. The final leg of this long road trip for the Phils. 3 games here in Milwaukee. Chase overall has hit in 5 straight games. And he takes high 2-0. I guess be ready for the fastball, but understand that he's had some command issues out of the strike zone too.
He has, and that's why you have to, especially with a power guy, you have to get him down the zone. It's a lot easier to hit a low fastball than it is a high fastball.
Ground ball softly left side, and it's picked up by Perez, and Utley's retired. 1 out, Cesar Hernandez coming up. And as Cesar walks to the plate, we look and see he's playing third base tonight. Murph, what's going on with that?
Well, yeah, the one name you didn't see when you did the lineup there, Phil's lineup, is Maikel Franco, who is still nursing that bruised wrist that he got when the game's in Arizona. He's over here in the dugout right now, and that wrist is still wrapped up. Now, he did take some swings today, Tom, which is certainly good news. Pete Mackanin said that he went out there, swung the bat, and still felt it a little bit. So Mackanin said, why risk it at this point? He's going to sit his third baseman down at least for 1 more day. He said it's possible that he plays as early as tomorrow. But right now, Maikel Franco just coming back and nursing that and trying to get back to 100%. And there's no real need to put him in if he's not 100%. That's what the Phils are thinking right now. So we'll give him another day or 2, he said, and see where he's at. So hopefully before the end of this series, we'll see Maikel Franco back out on the field.
Yeah, and Pete said about the guard that's on his arm right now, he said, don't look too much into that. He said, that's just protection if he bumps into anything. He said, there's nothing really to it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The count to Cesar Hernandez. Hernandez has hit in 4 straight games, 8 for 19 on this road trip. And he lifts that one in the air to center field. Playable for Shane Peterson. And there are 2 outs.
Well, and one thing with Maikel Franco is that it's just not with the swinging of the bat. It's you want to make sure he's healthy, because the last thing you want to do is have a wrist injury, but it's also want to check swing. And that can set him back even longer. So get it right, fix the hat, get ready to go.
Well, 2 outs, and here's Odubel Herrera. Herrera didn't have his kind of series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was only 2 for 13. Chops that one back toward the middle, and Segura has trouble getting it out of his glove, but still strong enough to throw him out. Well, this was an easy inning for Willie Peralta. He sets the Phillies down in order. So we'll move to the bottom of the first. It's the Phillies 0 and the Brewers coming up. Manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. His team has struggled of late. Let's take a look at his lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Segura, Lucroy, and Braun, followed by Lind, Davis, and Herrera. The bottom third of Shane Peterson, Hernan Perez, and Willie Peralta. And they'll face Phillies left-hander Adam Morgan, who has done a nice job this year. He was winless in the minor leagues this season, but 3-3 so far in the big leagues. And I thought last outing was one of his better outings in a while.
Well, it was better because he was down in the zone with all his pitches. His fastball, his slider, his changeup, had good depth on his slider and kept the hitters off balance.
Well, the first batter will face is Segura, and Segura takes a strike. It's 0-1.
You take a look at the Budweiser scouting report. 4-pitch pitcher, average velocity 88.6 miles an hour, and the league is hitting a $196 versus his slider.
Segura hits a fastball down the right field line. Dominic Brown is over. 1 away. So a 2-pitch out, and that'll bring Jonathan Lucroy to the plate.
Now, when I was talking in the keys, the game was about Morgan to get the fastball, the changeup, the slider, backdoor down in the zone, and away from righties and away from left-handers. The reason why is if you can spot that fastball or that pitch in the outside corner, then all of a sudden the fastball inside means something. But if you throw inside and you cannot get that ball down the zone, that's the reason why the Brewers had so many hits against us last time in Philadelphia.
And they just kept on coming. I mean, Lucroy was not hot coming into that series, and he left sizzling hot. His numbers have dipped since last year. 235, 4 home runs this year, 25 runs batted in. Out toward right field. That's pretty well hit. Dominic Brown into that well toward the wall, makes the catch. And there are 2 outs. It sounded like he hit it off the end of the bat, too. But now you played here. The ball does carry.
What a great place to hit. This is not a bad pitch. You can see Cameron has the glove down. He made a nice swing on it. But he didn't beat you to right field, which is good. It's a good spot for location. And usually on a ball like that, you can have right-handers hit a weak ground ball on the ground for base hits instead of getting the ball in the air.
Well, here's Ryan Braun, 20 home runs, 65 runs batted in. He was really one of the only guys that hit during the Cubs series. Brewers were swept by the Cubs. That was the only road trip that they'll have in the last 20 games, or in this 20-game stretch. 17 of 20 here at home. And it's 1 ball and no strikes. Play off to the right, 1 ball, 1 strike. You can see the roof is closed. They just closed the panels out in the outfield. Roof was open for most of the day, but there was a major storm that halted play in the golf tournament, which, as we said, is about an hour 15 minutes or so north. And the storm is heading this way, and it's now raining outside. And well, the roof sometimes has a little problems with the rain. There's a fly ball, foul territory, first base line. Howard is over, and he can't get there. That's a tough spot, though, with the chair, ball dude, and everything else. There's no tarp, though, like Anthony Rizzo had in Chicago this past week.
No, there's not. And the ball dude went the wrong way.
Yeah, he did.
You got a helmet. You got to put it on, too. Yeah, that play by Rizzo was impressive.
That was crazy.
What was impressive when he jumped and he landed on the armrests.
Right.
Threw it in, and then he took the wipeout.
Another pop-up foul, and it remains 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ryan Braun with 250 career home runs. I mentioned he was 6 for 9 in the series against the Cubs. The last time the Phillies faced him, he had 9 hits, and he just kills the Phillies. He's just always done it during his career. Doesn't matter who's out there, he gets hits. Two and two.
And it's not as if that the Phillies haven't changed their scouting report. They've pitched them different almost every time.
Well, they try to go down with that pitch, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Boa, Pete Buchanan, Bob McClure. Swing and a miss. He got him. 90-mile-an-hour fastball. That's one of the crisper fastballs we've seen from Morgan over the last handful of starts. 1, 2, 3 go the Brewers. On to the second here at Miller Park. On Tuesday and Wednesday, and then they go to Miami for a quick 4-game series, and then back home to Citizens Bank Park to take on the New York Mets. A 4-game set. All 4 games are at 7:05. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Top of the second, Ryan Howard leads it off. An 8-pitch first inning for Willie Peralta. Ryan Howard 2 for 8 in the series that just finished against the Diamondbacks. And he hits a fastball foul. It's 0-1. You ready for the fastball, Matt?
Absolutely.
Not a surprise. Good career numbers for Howard against the Brewers. The Phillies only face them 2 series a year. Inside 1-1. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant hails from Maple Glen, Pennsylvania. It's Bruce Schmidt. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game, and Bruce will win $100. Check swing. Did he go? No, says Fielding Colbreth. Swing and a miss as the thunder booms up above. We can't see it, but apparently it's raining pretty hard, and it's a nice day to have a roof.
That it is.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Howard. And he cracks it over to the left side, right at the third baseman Perez. 5-3 on the putout. One away for Dominic Brown. Willie Peralta last year won 17 games for the Brewers at an ERA of 3.53. He was voted the most valuable pitcher by the Milwaukee beat writers. Just has not been able to follow it up this year. Here's Dominic Brown, who has 3 hits and 7 at-bats lifetime against Willie Peralta. Which kind of makes sense. Dominic's numbers, at least this year, are drastically better against fastballs of 95 or above. Outside.
See, that's a pitch right there that Peralta needs to be able to throw. Behind the count, throwing a good changeup. If you can't now, but you're right back in a 2-0 count.
And let's face it, the Phillies have had now 2-2-0 counts against Peralta. And that's where you have to make him pay when he falls behind like this. Right now it's 3-0 to Dominic Brown. And Dominic taking all the way, 3-1. Now I say he was taking. I don't know if they gave him the take or if he was just taking.
Looked like he wanted to swing and just the ball beat him.
Yeah. There's ball 4. So Dominic's aboard. It's a 1-out walk. First base runner of the game. And that'll bring Freddie Galvis to the plate.
I always figure when you watch a guy who's going to take on a 3-0 pitch, if he has any thought process of swinging, you just look at the front hip. Dominic Brown's front hip went wide open, so he wanted to swing. The ball just beat him.
Well, now Freddie Galvis. Galvis hitting .274 with 5 home runs and 30 runs batted in. Pops it up, third base side. That should go out of play and does. Tonight's ball game is also available in Spanish. Just use the SAP button on your television or change the language through the menu on your cable box. Bill and Angel are here in Milwaukee.
Yes, they are.
One to Freddie. He bunts toward third. Oh, that's a dandy of a bunt. They are not going to get him. And the Phillies have their first hit. That'll put runners on first and second. I have to say this year, and in past years they haven't had to do this, but this year some of these bunt hits have been exceptional by the Phillies.
Well, it is, and the thing is that he squares early, and almost the ball knocks the bat out of his hand. That's how you deaden the ball. Perfect bunt. And when these guys start doing it more often and get the confidence, now all of a sudden the third baseman has to come in. He's playing shallow at third. But I honestly believe if you're going to play small ball, you need to start bunting a little bit more.
Not a bad idea when it works like that. Even Cody Ashley's done it. He's hit it 6 straight. His average up to 255. As the runners lead off first and second. And he hits it toward the right side, and it's handled by Hernan. His return throw to first, not in time. I should say Herrera. Put out goes 4-6 at second, and there are 2 outs. Good hustle by Cody to make sure he beat that throw.
Yeah, it's a good turn. It was a strong feed by Herrera right there, and another strong throw to first base. But like you said, Tom, good hustle by Cody getting down the line. Just beating it. You know, let's talk about the bunt for a second.
Yeah.
As a player, this might sound selfish, but it actually helps your average out as well. If you can lay some bunts down once in a while when you're struggling, that saves the 0 for 4. All of a sudden, you're maybe a 1 for 4, and it helps you out.
Herrera did it the other day. Odubel was struggling, and he bunted for a base hit. He wound up with 2 hits in the series against Arizona. Speaking of hitting against Arizona, Cameron Rupp certainly did some hitting. Takes a breaking ball, and it's 0-1. Cameron really won the game the other day for the Phils.
Offense and defense?
Yeah. His block of the plate, although he's still not sure whether he tagged him before his foot at the plate. He thinks he did.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
A 1 pitch. Swing and a miss. He threw him something soft again. It's 0-2.
That's an area right there that he'll have to make some adjustments. 8 for 89 with 2 strikes. Either 1 swing earlier or 2 back off your swing a little bit. Think about hitting the ball to right center.
In the dirt block by Lucroy. Now, do you guys as hitters, I mean, does he know he's 8 for 89 with 2 strikes, you think?
No, I don't think
I mean, that's
so.
a pretty, those are deep statistics. I mean,
it is. I think as a hitter, well, I know as a hitter, you know, especially guys that swing early in the count, do not feel comfortable hitting with 2 strikes. You know, Tony Gwynn loved hitting with 2 strikes. Made him concentrate a little bit more. Let him get the ball deeper. But you don't know the numbers. You go by feeling.
Brothers lead off first and third. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Cameron Rupp. That one's out towards center field. Peterson roams back. He's under it. And with lightning flashing through the windows, the side is retired. No runs, 1 hit, and 2 men left. Middle of the second. Phillies nothing, Brewers nothing. The most useful news about the Philadelphia Phillies, you want to go to csnphilly.com and follow Phillies insider Jim Salisbury. Jimmy's done a great job covering this team this year. He was right on all the trades. Now, while I was reading that, not that it affects us at all, some lightning flashing out there, Matt.
You know, and those windows right there will come in effect on the day game on Sunday.
Sunday? Right now, they're just putting together a little laser show for us. Well, there's Adam Lind. Adam Lind was kind of annoying the last time the Phillies saw the Brewers. They didn't play 1 game. Overall hitting .284, 17 home runs, 66 runs batted in. He's really enjoyed playing here at Miller Park. I'm surprised that he wasn't traded before July 31st. I really thought an American League team would take a flyer on him. Nothing against the National League teams, but he can be valuable as a first baseman and a DH if he went to the American League.
And he's not that bad of an outfielder either. Played a lot of games in left field.
Well, he'll lead things off, playing in his 108th game of the season. Fastball just misses outside, according to Jim Reynolds, the home plate umpire. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Off the end of the bat. And 1 ball, 1 strike. Adam Morgan last time went 6 innings. He only threw 79 pitches. He actually wanted to stay in the game, you would imagine, but the bullpen was rested and did its job, and the Phillies wound up winning that ball game against the Padres. You want them to stay in the game. You want them to want to stay in the game.
That is true.
Down the right field line, Dominic Brown is there. Third put out. Chris Davis is coming up. I'm not sure if everybody can tell, but there's a little bit of water that's dripping through the roof around home plate. Murph, why is that?
Well, you know, Tom, when you look at the construction of this roof, I've just been told by our cameraman down here, Tom, that there are flaps over the openings in the roofs on top, and if the wind is howling up there, then those flaps are going to presumably, so they don't get torn off. They have a little give, they move up, and that allows the water to drip through the cracks. It's not an engineering flaw as much as it's just that it's really windy outside, apparently.
But it's very subtle. That wasn't subtle as Herrera goes back, and that one is gone. Chris Davis has just given the Brewers a 1-0 lead. That sounded like it was a home run when it left the bat. 12th home run of the year. Well, that'll shake those flaps.
Yeah, we're going to check. I guess it is. We're going to check with the location of this pitch right here. Watch it down low. You see it's elevated high, but belt high. And when you're throwing 89, 90 miles an hour, you need to have that movement. Good effort by Herrera, but
yeah, there's a little bit of an overhang where the Toyota territory is out there in right center field, and the ball actually hit that overhang. Here's Elian Herrera, 3 for 12 in the series against the Cubs. How about Chris Davis was 0 for 10 against the Cubs? Has really been slumping since the All-Star break. But he's driven in 14 runs now here in the month of August, even with an 0 for 10 against the Cubs. 0-1 pitch to Herrera. Down low, 1 ball, 1 strike. Herrera 235 with 5 home runs. Hit 274 in 69 games last year with the Brewers. Swing and a miss, laid on the fastball, 1-2. That's where they wanted the Chris Davis pitch.
Yeah, and it's good. It's a good location. If you get a barrel on it, like I said, you're going to hit probably a hard ground ball.
Out to center field. That one's well struck. Herrera going back toward the track to the wall, reaches up and makes the catch. Well, there are 2 outs.
It looked like Herrera had a pretty good beat on it at first. Then I think you're going to be a little surprised how hard the ball was hit from Herrera. But makes a nice play by staying with it. The ball does carry here.
Shane Peterson's now the hitter, 299 hitter. Out toward left center. It's not deep. Herrera's running all over the place. But he'll give this one to Cody Ashe, who makes the catch. So 5 fly ball outs for Adam Morgan so far. He's allowed a home run. And as we go to the 3rd, the Phillies trail it 1-0. All right, Matt, the question is, who is the Brewers' all-time single-season saves leader? Answer will be revealed in just a bit. All-time single-season saves leader. Here's Adam Morgan leading it off. He's 1 for 14. And a strike to him. I'm interested to see how the Phillies approach Peralta the second time through. Now they first have to get Morgan's at bat, and he hits it to third. Perez is there, one away. Because what you talked about, be ready for the fastball. I mean, that really, the first time through, that was evident.
It was. He threw a lot of fastballs. Chase was a 2-0 count. Hernandez saw a slider. Dominic Brown saw a changeup. Ryan Howard saw 2 sliders.
And Rupp saw a couple breaking balls. Yeah. But there were fastballs mixed in there.
Right, and his fastball actually has a little bit of movement to me.
That nice ladies capturing every moment as Utley takes on the inside corner. 0-1. Breaking ball. That one's hit sharply right past the second baseman, Herrera. At least thinking 2, and he should. He's on his way. The throw to second, not in time, and it's a double. Well, any question about whether his ankle's bothering him or not, that kind of play right there kind of answers that question.
Well, it answers the question. I think a few things answer the question there. One, how's his bat speed? You can see this is a slider. Very good swing. 2, very good hustle. 3, he got the double because he thought 2 right out of the batter's box.
So he's in scoring position now for Cesar Hernandez. Hernandez flied to center his first time up. No balls and 1 strike. Cesar has a very quick 4-game hitting streak going right now. Chopper back toward the middle. Utley goes to third. What do you think there, Matt?
Well, he was looking for a timeout, but the umpire does not have to give you timeout.
I thought he should have there.
I did too. I thought he held a little longer, but ask for timeout by not taking your hand off the bat. And that's the key right there. And if you do take time, ask for timeout, he doesn't give it to you. So you watch his top hand. It comes off the bat. He says, "All right, tempo." Doesn't give it to him. All right. Well, you don't have to swing, but now he's in the panic mode. So.
And it wasn't a good swing.
No. Ask for time without taking your hand off the bat.
Jim Reynolds behind the plate. Manny Gonzalez at first. Bruce Dreckman at second. And the crew chief is fielding Colbert. In the dirt, blocked by Luke Croy. 1 ball, no strikes. There's teammates talking to him about that. One thing that we do know about the Phillies players who are from Venezuela, Dominican, they do stick together, and they are always talking about the game in every facet. Scott Sheridan, the Phillies athletic trainer, was saying the other day when Franco was hurt, he said every one of them came into the trainer's room just to check up, make sure that he was okay. They look out for each other. And that's what this group is becoming. Not only the Latin players, but the group as a whole. They look out for each other. That's a good thing.
It's a great thing.
2-0 pitch. That's high. 3-0.
You talk about having a good team, but if you don't have good chemistry with your teammates and teammates that care, it's tough to come to the ballpark every day, even when they were struggling before the break. Communication was still good. They were still upbeat. Frenchie said it great. They need the 4 days off from each other, and they got it. They came back and playing well.
Ball 4. Herrera draws a walk, claps his hands to try to inspire Ryan Howard with 2 runners on and 2 men down. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Budweiser still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. Up for runners on first and third. Howard last time up rounded out to third. All of the games, all of the at-bats where there's an overshift on for Ryan Howard, where he's hit into that shift. Well, now that Utley's at third and Herrera's at first, there's no overshift. I mean, this is conventional an infield defense as we've ever seen against Ryan Howard.
This is Ryan Howard rookie year where they had no idea what type of hitter he was going to be.
Checked his swing, but the pitch was called a strike. It's 0-1. One strike. Low and in. 2-1. Wheels are turning for Ryan Howard. He's thinking, all right, throw me 1 fastball in. That's it. 2 balls, 1 strike. What am I going to get here? You think slider?
You know, yeah, he could. I mean, he's going to probably get a slider.
They didn't want the fastball.
No, he took off fastball away.
Ground ball softly to the right side, right between the legs of Odubel Herrera. Phillies retired here in the third. They get a couple more base runners, so they've left 4 the last 2 innings. Middle of the third, Brewers have a 1-0 lead over the Phils. Your Delaware Valley Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Del Val Honda dealer or visit DelValHondaDealers.com. And by McDonald's. Double the love at McDonald's with a double cheeseburger and small fry for just $2.50. McDonald's. I'm loving it. Roof is closed here at Miller Park with the rain outside. The Brewers have a 1-0 lead. We go to the bottom of the third inning. A little different infield alignment for the Phillies fans to take in here tonight. You got Howard, Utley, Galvis. That doesn't sound that strange. But Murph, how about Cesar Hernandez playing over at third base for the Phils?
Yes, Tom, making his 6th start at third base this year. He's also made 5 starts at shortstop, and the bulk of his starts, of course, at second base. But Pete Mackanin talking earlier today about the versatility of Cesar Hernandez and just how invaluable a guy like that has been. And he has proven that, he can be, or, he certainly has made a case that he could be an everyday second baseman in Major League Baseball, both offensively and defensively. But, the versatility that he allows a manager to move him around the infield, to fill in for an injured teammate, the way he's able to do tonight has really made him a productive part of this team. And you know what? All season long, they've been talking about trying to find that guy in the second hole in the lineup. Early in the season, in spring training, we were told Freddie Galvis may be that guy. They've toyed with Chase Utley in that spot. A lot of different guys, Herrera as well. But his numbers in the 2-hole for Cesar Hernandez, 363, an on-base percentage of .419 this year. He gets his walks and he gets his base hits. So he has been a very productive guy on both sides of the ball.
Ball's over the head of Cody Ashe, and on his way to second base is Perez, and he'll get there standing with his 10th double. So a leadoff 2-base hit. And Willie Peralta's coming up. Well, just to top off Murph's point, as Cesar even pointed out, he said, I did play a lot of third base in winter ball, which he did.
Yep.
Played 11 games. He actually pointed out that the 11 games were more than he played anywhere else on the infield. Played 8 games in the outfield, 11 at third, 8 at second, and 7 at shortstop. As Peralta squares, he bunts it toward third. It's foul. It's 0-1. And as I said to him, I did not know that.
Well, and Hernandez is a good enough athlete where you could throw him out in the outfield as well. He's been out there before.
I thought when they had that experiment of him playing center field, I thought he actually did a pretty good job. Yeah. He's athletic enough. No balls, 1 strike to Peralta. It was 0 for 19 this year. And he bunts it toward third. That will trickle foul. And it's 0-2. I would imagine he's bunting again.
Well, we don't see it very often from Morgan, but it'd be a good time for that big curveball.
That would really confuse him.
Oh.
Slider.
That's a little easier to lay off of. If you throw a big old knee buckling curveball. But very nice play by Cameron. That's a back foot slider, all right.
Bunts it in the air, caught by Cameron Rupp, and there's 1 away. That'll bring Gene Segura to the plate. This Tuesday when the Phillies take on the Toronto Blue Jays, the red-hot Toronto Blue Jays, all fans coming to the ballpark will receive the Larry Bowa Bobble figurine, compliments of Toyota. It's a quick 2-game series against the Jays. The first place Toronto Blue Jays. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Segura flied to right his first time up.
Looks like the little slider, back foot slider. How he popped that ball up right from there on that pitch, I have no idea.
It's out toward left center field. Here comes Herrera. It's going to drop in front of him. Perez is being sent home. The throw to the plate will be cut off the tip of the glove of Howard. And Segura goes to second. It's an RBI single. And it's 2-0 Milwaukee. Well, I thought for a moment that Odubel was going to catch that ball. He pulled up, so he must have sensed that he couldn't get to it. But he missed the cutoff man, or threw high of the cutoff man, and that allowed Segura to go to second.
Yeah, it's a big swing, but it's off the end of the bat. And I'm with you, Tom. I thought he was going to catch it. But right when he backed off, that's when the third base coach realized, hey, we have an opportunity to try to score here, being aggressive and sending him home.
Well, at that point, the throw probably should have gotten to second base. I don't know if he would have, if he had any chance to get him at the plate. Here's Lucroy. He flied to right his first time up. Breaking ball, and that missed. 1-0.
I'm with you. I mean, and you know, Herrera's done a good job of learning how to play center field. Once he gets more experience out there, he's going to be able to take a peek at the runner coming around third base and realize if he has an opportunity to throw a guy out or throw the ball to second base.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that he is light years ahead of where anybody thought he would be in center field.
Absolutely.
And I do think that he probably does need the offseason to strengthen his arm, to become more of an outfielder's arm instead of a second baseman's arm. Fastball, that's in there, and it's 1-1 It'll be Lucroy, then Ryan Braun here in the bottom of the third with the Brewers up 2-0.
That last fastball was great location. It was 88, but it's coming in there at a good spot, low and away.
Doing a lot of dancing off that second base bag.
Yeah, which is not great for hitters either. It's nice to get out there and be aggressive at second base, but if you're going to steal second base or third base, excuse me, stand still, then take off, especially with one strike.
Sorry, to Major League Scoreboard, the Blue Jays lead the Yankees 3-0. That's a big 3-game series up in Toronto. Probably more for the Yankees at this point than even the Blue Jays, because the Blue Jays, they are smoking hot. They're in first place in the American League East. Decided low, 3-1. Ryan Braun waits on deck. Fly ball, right center field. It's playable. Herrera makes the catch, runs into Dominic Brown. Segura is being waved home. The throw to the plate by Galvis is in time. Oh, he got in there! Jim Reynolds called him safe. Ed Cedar took a chance with a 2-0 lead. Right now it may have paid off. We'll see, but I'm sure Pete Buchanan and Larry Bow are thinking about reviewing this one.
And I think they're thinking about reviewing because it looked like the tag was a little high on the leg.
And the leg was high?
See, that's close. It looks like the tag hit him in the knee.
Yeah, and his foot may have been at the top of the plate.
This will give you the best angle right here.
Jim Reynolds is right on it.
You know what? I
don't know if his
the
foot's
question
on
is,
the plate.
yeah, his toe popped up. So did his foot tag across home plate?
Yeah, I thought that last replay was slowed down a little bit. It looked like the foot was on the plate. So 3-0 Milwaukee. Right there, it looks like his toe is on the plate. Boy, that's really hard to tell.
It is.
Jim was right on it, though. I mean, he was looking right at it. Now Ryan Braun is the batter. It looks like everybody's okay on the outfield, too. There's more Dominic Brown than Herrera that got up slow. Well, how about the aggressiveness by Ed Cedar waving Segura? Give Segura credit, though, because he was moving.
Well, yeah, and Segura, he tagged. Like, usually you go 3/4 of the way.
Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. So give a sac fly to Lucroy. 2 runs have scored. So 3-0 Milwaukee here in the bottom of the 3rd. And the 1-1 pitch to Braun. Inside, 2-1. You hate when it happens to you, but that is exciting when there's a fly ball out there to the outfield and the guy scores from second. Yeah. You don't see it that often.
No,
when you do,
someone owes someone a steak dinner.
Outside with a changeup, 3-1.
And you have the collision in right center, but there's nothing you can do about that because both guys are going full speed after the ball. They're probably yelling at the exact same time. It's hard to hear out there. Yeah, that play is totally different than the one in San Diego with Cody and Herrera in left center. That's a routine fly ball. But when you have 2 outfielders going full speed,
they're both going after it on the strong side, the glove side.
Right.
Three balls, 2 strikes, and a foul ball. Now, the only thing that might have helped a little bit is that Dominic Brown has a better arm, but here's Segura's running.
I'm not taking nothing for granted. Realizing the ball is hit deep to right center, picking up speed, getting in there very aggressively. I still don't think that toe pop. I think that toe pops up right there.
You think it's up over the plate?
Yeah.
Down the right field line, then a slice foul. Well, if it did, I don't know if they would have overturned it.
I agree. I mean, they could have called me and I would have told them, but.
Three-two pitch. Out to left field, playable for Cody Ashley. He started back, now comes in and makes the catch. Side is retired, but the Brewers scored 2 runs. The first on a single by Gene Segura. The second, thanks to the legs of Gene Segura. 3M super sticky post-it notes, available in a world of colors and ideal for most hard-to-stick surfaces. Personally delivered to your desktop for free. By who? But WB Mason. Well, the Phillies have some ground to make up. They trail at 3-0 as we go to the top of the 4th inning here at Miller Park. Phillies commit to this ball game 17-7 since the All-Star break. It's been a little different story for the Milwaukee Brewers. Dominic Brown takes down and away. 1 ball, no strikes. Brewers over the last 30 are 12-18. Over the last 20 are 6-14. Al Tip and it's 1-1. And man, are they struggling here at home? I mean, they have a look at the crowd here. They're 46. They're 48-68. And they're drawing pretty well. Averaging about 30,000 each home game. But they cannot win consistently here in Milwaukee. They're 24-36, which is the worst home record in baseball. One pitch to Brown. Inside, 3-1. Milwaukee's 24-36. Colorado is 25-29. You see the splits between home and road. ERA is higher here. Out to left field. Chris Davis ventures back and is under it. Freddie Galvis is coming up. It's time now for the Cold Hard Fact, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. The Phillies and the Brewers are the first pair of Major League teams to have 2 consecutive series against each other, both resulting in sweeps of at least 4 games by the road team since the Giants and Expos did so in 1975. So last year the Phillies swept out the Brewers here in Milwaukee. That was fun. This year the Brewers returned the favorite. That wasn't as much fun. Well, 1 pitch to Galvis.
Yeah, we talked about it in the open though. The last time when they got swept at home, the offense was rolling. They were hitting very well. The starter's ERA was over 9.
Yeah. Can't win games when your starter's ERA is over 9.
It's tough.
Get inside, 2-1. Yeah, some of the numbers from the last series. Phillies hit 281. They had 13 extra base hits. Brewers had 15 extra base hits and hit 364. What do we say the Phillies averaged? Almost 5 runs per game?
Almost 5 runs.
And the Brewers averaged almost 7 runs per game. Freddie Galvis tied up with that fastball, and he strikes out. Strikeout number 1 for Willie Peralta.
Well, this is a very good fastball and very good movement. It's that front door sinker where we always talk about you need to elevate it. That's where it freezes hitters. Freddie thought that ball, it was going to be a ball, and then he kind of did the 9-1-1 swing to try to make a foul ball.
And she grounded it to a fielder's choice his first time up, so he's 0 for 1. And he lines that one down the left field line. That is in for a base hit. Davis cuts it off. Ashe will hold up at first. Wise decision.
The boys are being aggressive tonight on the fastball. Sometimes you like to maybe take a couple extra pitches after an off day just to get your timing back.
So they spent the off day here in Milwaukee yesterday. They had early batting practice today. Pete McCannon said the swings were good today.
Apparently he wasn't talking about my golf game.
Or his. Although I think he played pretty well yesterday. One ball, one strike to Cameron Rupp. And Cameron lines it into left field, a base hit. Davis bobbles it for a moment, but Cody Ashley stays at second. Back-to-back singles, and it brings Adam Morgan to the plate.
Nice to see you getting that base hit right there. It's a high slider, and it's going to be interesting to see with Cameron and Hernandez getting in the a little later in the season. You can see it's a little get me over slider. How they're going to make the adjustments on how the teams are going to pitch it. Hernandez is getting a lot more sliders. Cameron's going to be getting a lot more sliders.
Yeah, that adjustment period may even carry over even to the beginning of next year.
Oh, yeah.
Out of play, and it's 0-2. See if the Phillies can roll a little luck here and get Adam Morgan aboard from the top of the order. Adam chokes up on the bat. The 0-2 pitch. Loop it in. 1-2.
Nice take.
Inside 3-2. So the runners will be off on this pitch. Three balls, two strikes, two men down. Phil's down 3-0. Trying to scratch a run across the plate here. And a fastball, strike 3 call. Side is retired. The Phillies leave a couple here in the 4th inning, so they've left 6 now in the last 3 innings. Adam Lind will start things off for the Brewers when we return to the bottom of the 4th. At Toyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. By Jefferson, where health is all we do. Call 1-800-JEFF now or visit jefferson.edu. And by Chevrolet, visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Last of the fourth inning, the Phillies trail the Brewers 3-0. Adam Morgan is just finishing up his warm-up tosses out on the mounds. And he will face Adam Lind, Chris Davis, and Elian Herrera. Free T-shirt night. Free T-shirt Friday is exactly what they call it here, Matt. And those yellow T-shirts are the ones they gave out, not the red one. Yellow one on that guy's shoulder and what that gentleman's wearing to the right. They've thrown back their uniforms on Fridays to the classic, and I mean classic, Milwaukee Brewers uniform from when they went to the World Series. And they lost to the St. Louis Cardinals with Harvey's Wallbangers back in 1982. There's that big curve you wanted before. It's 0-1.
It's a good pitch. Surprise pitch because he doesn't throw it very often.
Outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Morgan thought that bit the outside part of the plate a little bit.
Adam almost looks like he's sitting on a curveball.
Fastball misses wide. Boy, those are awfully close. They're off the plate, but those are awfully close. Curveball pulled up the first base line. It's a fair ball. Howard's got it. Fortunately, Lind is fairly slow up the line. And there's one away. 3-1 on the putout. Well, prior to the ball game tonight, the Brewers inducted Teddy Higuera into their Walk of Fame. There is Teddy. He threw out the first pitch as well. He wore number 49 for the Milwaukee Brewers. Won 94 games. He hasn't thrown a ball in 10 years. Well, that was the MC, Bill Schroeder, who caught the no-hitter from Teddy Higuera. Chris Davis is coming up. And it's 0-1. Bill did a great job emceeing tonight. New Jersey product. Call him Rock. That year in '82. When the Brewers wore these uniforms, they lost to the Cardinals, as we mentioned, but man, could they mash. One ball, 1 strike. Curveball inside, 2-1. Chris Davis homered to right center field his first time up. That gave the Brewers a 1-0 lead. Got a piece of Cameron Rupp. Paul Molitor, Robin Yount, they were part of the '82 pennant team. They also played with Teddy Higuera. Higuera's career began with the Brewers in '85. He won 15 games his first year, 20 his second year, 18 his third, and then 16 his fourth. I mean, that's a pretty good 4-year run to start a career. Kind of shocking that he finished with just 94 wins.
Yeah, it is. I actually faced him down in the Mexican League. I believe he was pitching for, I think, Obregon. Fernando Venezuela was his teammate, I should say, since I was in this country.
Teddy Higuera's career was cut short by shoulder problems. He only won 2 games combined his last 2 years. 3-2 pitch. Popped him way up there. That's going to take some time to come down. Cameron Rupp makes the catch.
What kind of home runs that, Tom? Home run up an elevator shaft.
Yeah, way up the elevator shaft. Now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use the hashtag #PhillyPhotoDataStrongFan. And you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. I don't know why I drew a blank on elevator shaft. On those, Bernie the Brewer does not come down the slide.
He does not.
I was thinking silo. Here's Herrera. Takes a change up low. Herrera flied out to the track in center field his first time up. Another one in center field. Again, Herrera goes back. He's under it. And the side is retired. Nice inning for Adam Morgan. He retires the Brewers 1-2-3. So on to the 5th inning. The Phillies down by 3. The top of the order due up. His answer. All right, Matt, I know you know this one. Who is the Brewers' all-time single-season saves leader?
John Axford from Simcoe, Ontario.
That's why you knew the answer.
Yes.
46 saves in 2011. He had some movement that year.
That he did.
Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. Top of the order, Chase Utley will start things off. Utley takes a fastball low. Utley is 1 for 2. He doubled his last time up. Was left over at third. Those are his numbers during the 6-game hitting streak. And Utley lines another one. This one is center field for his second hit. And here's Cesar Hernandez. Pete McCann was asked today about Chase Utley. There's a lot of speculation, obviously, that Chase may be moved sometime in the next several days. Pete said, do you think it phases Chase at all? He goes, no, I don't think it phases him even a little bit. And you know, you and I have known Chase for a long time. I mean, this would be a tough decision for him, because it would be his decision, because he has a no trade clause. But we've known him for a long time. He shows very little emotion when it comes to a lot of things outside of the playing field. Does that make sense? You know, things like that.
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
The trade speculation. So I agree with Pete. I don't think it phases him even a little bit. Now, when he has to, if he has to ultimately make the decision, as that one is chopped towards second, the flip goes to Segura, who barehands it. Nice play. 4-6 on the putout. When he has to make that decision, if he does, you know, obviously it affects him because it affects his family. It affects where he's going to play the rest of his career. And he's going to take off the Phillies red for the first time in his life as a professional ball player. Here's Odubel Herrera, who was grounded out to shortstop. He walked his last time up. He's 0 for 1. Phillies have 5 hits today, but nothing to show for it.
I had a laugh during, Pete was talking to the beat writers, and one of the reporters goes, "So I saw Chase was on the computer. Do you think he's watching video, or is he reading the trade stuff going on and seeing if he was traded?" I'm like, I had to leave. Like, really? That person really doesn't know Chase very well.
There goes Hernandez. The pitch is low. The throw to second base is not in time. Stolen base number 18 for Cesar.
Well, I mean, he has a good jump. I thought there was no chance of throwing him out, but Lucroy made a very strong throw to second base.
Yeah, Lucroy has thrown out 21 of the 47 runners who have tried to steal against him, so that's more than 30%. They're waiting because the Brewers are taking a look at it underneath to see whether they should review it or not. Some of these take entirely too long.
Way too long.
So a runner in scoring position. Now the Phillies have had those tonight. They haven't been able to cash in. Let's see if they can here. Phillies are 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position in this game tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike to Odubel.
We talk about the video replay takes a while. I don't think there's any way you can speed it up, though.
No, I agree with that.
I mean, the video guys do an unbelievable job.
Yeah, it's not an easy job because most times a team has one person looking at it, sometimes 2, but one person looking at it, and they're looking at every angle pretty quickly. Sneak a 96-mile-an-hour fastball by him. It was low, 2-2.
Pretty good pitch right there, and actually a very good swing. You can always tell when it's a good swing and the hitter's a little frustrated.
Yeah.
And they walk out and they did the little walk around and they mumble something to themselves, knowing that it's a pitch to hit.
In the dirt, 3-2. Hernandez does not advance. Lucroy kept it pretty close.
Good communication. One was a good play by Lucroy to block the ball. But very good communication from the Phillies dugout, yelling no, knowing that the ball didn't go very far from the catcher. This is a tough slider in the dirt. Doesn't go very far away. Right when he started going after, that's when the dugout started yelling.
Three-two pitch. Ground ball right side. And it's right at Herrera. So Herrera is thrown out by Herrera. Over to third goes Hernandez. And there are 2 outs. Phillies fans, did you know the StubHub app is your personalized way to get tickets that you want for every upcoming event? Get the StubHub app today. Start at StubHub and let fun find you. StubHub is the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Phillies. Those are some pretty good seats. They may have used StubHub for those seats. Right above the Phil's dugout. Here's Ryan Howard. Howard is 0 for 2. Howard hits it sharply, but right at the second baseman Herrera. Side is retired. Phil's now 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position in this ball game. We played 4.5. We'll move to the bottom of the 5th inning. Adam Morgan goes back to work. Citizens Bank's Champions in Action program is a unique program that rewards small organizations that create big changes in the community. To learn more, visit citizensbank.com/community. At Citizens Bank, we want to help you bank better. So the next time you have a question about money, don't keep it to yourself. Ask a citizen. Bottom of the 5th inning, the Phillies trail at 3-0. Now the bottom third of the order for the Brewers coming up. Shane Peterson leads it off, and he takes outside. He flied to left field his first time up. To the screen, 2-1. Only 3 hits allowed by Adam Morgan tonight. The home run, of course, and then a double and a single. All 3 hits have had a hand in the runs for the Brewers.
And a 380-foot sac fly.
I was going to say some aggressive base running too. Change up inside, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Three-two pitch. Off the hands over the Phillies dugout. Back toward the middle. Utley will wait for it. He's going to have to hurry, and does in time. 1 away. That'll bring Hernan Perez to the plate. Let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murph.
All right, Tom. Well, as we promised you earlier in the game, it is time for the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Today's photo comes from Marianne 3784. This is Marianne's son and grandson from Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, enjoying a day at the Phillies game with their fanatic dangle hats. You tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag Philly Photo Data Strong Fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's all brought to you by T-Mobile.
Over to third. Big hop for Cesar Hernandez. And there are 2 quick outs. We've seen some couple of those dangle hats in the crowd here tonight.
A little warm for that in here tonight, I would think.
Are you warm down there, Murph?
I'm a little warm down here, yeah.
Well, it's a little chilly up here. There's only one control for the air conditioning, and it's
the uke.
And it's pretty. It's busted out some pretty cold air right now.
There's one person. There's one person up here at Murph that controls it.
Is that you?
No, it's Mr. Euchre.
Oh,
he deserves it.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
That's at the knees to Peralta, and it's 0-1. I think the people in the first couple of rows here are enjoying it.
I know I am.
Yeah, because there's no AC out in the stadium.
No.
Some ballparks we go to, they make sure that the temperature is 70 degrees or so. There's Bob Uecker. They had another Ute bobblehead, the Harry Doyle bobblehead they gave out recently for the movie Major League, where he was outstanding.
One of my all-time favorites.
Oh, he was outstanding. 1-2 pitch to Peralta. It's sharply to short. Galvis to his right. Side is retired. 3 ground outs for Adam Morgan, who's now retired the last 8 batters that he has faced. On to the 6th inning. The Phils in search of a little offense. Into wherever the Phillies have needed him this season. Shortstop, second base, or third. He has been solid with his defense all over the diamond. His bat has been even better. When Chase went to the DL, Cesar went into action and has been one of the most consistent hitters on the team. Batting .324 in the month of June alone. Hernandez has shined in a career-best 100-plus games. And it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Adam Morgan's done a nice job these last couple of innings. He's allowed only 3 hits tonight. 3 runs, though. His team, which has been scoring on average 5 runs or more per game during this stretch of 24 games since the All-Star break. They haven't managed much against Willie Peralta, but we go to the top of the 6th inning, and we'll see if they can get some runs for Adam. Peralta made the last out. So he is just now finishing his warm-up tosses. There's Aaron Nola, who was able to help the Phils finish off that last game against the Arizona Diamondbacks. 5 innings, 4 runs, 9 hits. They decided to get him out of there when they had the lead, and they hung on. Bullpen hung on. There's Dominic Brown, and he takes low. 1-0.
Like to have as a hitting coach like a little earpiece in all your hitters, their ears, and saying, listen, as you take a pitch, hey, Dominic Brown, slow it down a little bit. You're
getting jumpy,
a little jumpy. The front hips leave a little earlier. Slow it down, see the ball
to the right side, and another 4-3. That's 3 in a row. One out here in the 6th inning. Monday, August 24th, it'll be Country Music Night at Citizens Bank Park. You can enjoy country music bands and much more. Order tickets now at Phillies.com/country to be one of the first 2,000 fans to receive the exclusive Phillies camo snapback hat. There it is right there. It's all part of the Phillies and the Mets series. Freddie Galvis now the hitter. And Galvis lifts it in the air to right field. Playable for Ryan Braun. Pedals onto the track. With 2 outs. All right, what is Peralta doing right now, Matt, that's getting so many ground balls out to second base?
being able to throw that slider when he's behind the count. Ryan Harris went the first pitch down the zone. Dominic Brown hit a chopper to second base on a 2-1 slider. He's having that confidence. Herrera, 3-2 slider. Commanding the fastball and being able to throw the slider for strikes is why he's having success today. God, I hate giving pitchers credit.
Ashley off the hands. That one's popped up. Shallow center field. Waiting for it is Segura, and the side is retired. 1-2-3 go the Phils here in the 6th inning. Well, Willie Peralta's done a nice job through 6. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th inning here in Milwaukee. Let's go further and by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Well, with Matt Stairs and Greg Murphy, it's nice to be with you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They have opened the panels, and they've done it just in time for the sausage race here at Milwaukee. All right, Matt, I don't know what you had. I had brat. You had hot dog.
No, Ben had hot dog.
Yeah, well, Ben was front running here. Usually it's closer than that. So hot dog is the winner. The most popular of the mascot races. The sausage race here in Milwaukee. Here's Segura, and he takes outside. 1 ball and no strikes. You had Polish? Is that what you had?
Yeah, I think he pulled a hammy. Where are the shoot?
That one's popped up, straight up. Freddie Galvis says he has it. And there's 1 away. Murph, who did you have in the race?
I had Italian.
So
that was not a very good showing for Italian.
No, you had no chance.
None.
Who else had hot dog with Ben? Just Ben?
His radio partner, Scott Fransky, I believe.
No, he had brat. Scott and I had brat.
I think it's someone down the truck.
Did Jeff Halleckman, our producer, have?
Yes,
he did. Okay.
Oh. Good. He's buying them.
He's buying the hot dogs tonight. Here's Lucroy. Lucroy is 0 for 1 with a sac fly. Bullpen action to Freitas and Adam Lowen. Nine in a row retired by Adam Morgan. They're warming up, I guess, if he gets into trouble here in the 6th, but also because he's due to bat second in the top of the 7th inning. So we get a miss and a changeup.
Talk about a Bugs Bunny changeup. That was it right there. Perfect location, low and away.
The fastball just didn't run back enough, and the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. We're a little offset.
Yep.
Our vantage point. But that looked like a pretty decent pitch, but it must have been a little inside. Jim Reynolds' strike zones have been pretty good here tonight. I think Adam wanted that one. Ground ball. Chase Utley moves back towards center and throws him out. Here's Ryan Braun with 2 men down. Later tonight on State of the Union, Amy Fadul sits down with the Union's 23-year-old goalkeeper, Brian Silvestri. Find out why he chose the MLS over a promising college football career. Plus, Ray Gaddis is mic'd up, and our boys in blue share the biggest soccer influences. Watch State of the Union tonight at 11:30 right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Ryan Braun takes inside. 1 ball, no strikes. .79 pitches in his last outing, where he got the victory. 77 so far tonight. He went 6 innings in his last outing. Out of play, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, if Morgan can get Braun here, more than likely be his last inning.
Yeah.
Young man has pitched a very nice game so far.
Sure has. Out of play. It's 2-2.
There's nothing you can do on a guy that jumps all over your first pitch fastball. Solo home run, so what? Probably like to have the double back. Too much spike fastball inside. Flare to center field, but besides that, I think he's done a very nice job of keeping the hitters off balance. Great command of his changeup.
That one's grounded toward third. Cesar has it. And from behind the bag throws out Ryan Braun. So 1, 2, 3 innings, the last 3 for Adam Morgan. His night may be done. His spot is due up second when we return for the top of the 7th here in Milwaukee. The Phillies are looking for a little lightning in their bats right now because they've managed 5 hits, but they trail at 3-0 as we go to the top of the 7th. Adam Morgan's done a nice job here tonight. 3 hits, 3 earned runs. His night is probably done. Chase Utley has 2 hits for the Phils. So now we begin the top of the 7th. Cameron Rupp, who's 1 for 2, leads it off. It'll be Rupp, and then it looks like a pinch hitter as he fouls the first pitch off against Willie Peralta, who has really been part of the story tonight, if not the biggest part of the story, because he's scattered 5 hits but hasn't really allowed anything. He's left 7 men on base so far. Up the third base line, that'll go foul, and it's no balls and 2 strikes.
Peralta didn't throw that bad his last outing. Through 7 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, only 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. That's the key for him, and he's doing it tonight. He's throwing strikes. He's only allowed 2 walks tonight.
Way inside.
See, now that's right there so predictable. fastball way inside on your gut, and you come back with a slider. You know, why not double up on people inside?
Ooh. Third strikeout for Peralta.
It's supposed to be a fastball inside. Good pitch. Knee high.
Well, that'll bring Darren Ruff to the plate.
Back-to-back sliders. Show him a little bit of respect.
Letting your feet slide out from under you.
Front foot. Whoop.
Inside, 3-1. Did he hurt himself?
No. Contagious.
Greg Counsell and the Brewers athletic trainer both come out. Okay, he just spun himself down to the ground. Fly ball, right field. And Ryan Braun puts it away. So 2 outs. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in True HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices with MLB.TV Premium. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. All right, so 2 outs, and here comes Chase Utley, who is 2 for 3. This is the quietest I think we've seen the Phillies offense in quite a while.
Yeah, they're not scoring up a lot of baseballs.
Even in the losses to the Diamondbacks those first 2 days, they seem to hit the ball. What is he asking Lucroy?
If it was a strike.
Yeah. Is that a strike for you? Inside, 1-1. That one's in there. Chase's average, by the way, is up over 200. It's at 202.
Chase just looks like a totally different hitter in the batter's box. More confident, more relaxed.
And he pulls that one to right field. Braun dives. He can't get it. He knocks it down, but Utley's on his way to second. The throw by Ryan Braun is in time. A single, 9-6 on the putout after a little slide dance by Chase Utley. Looked like he spun his wheels going around first base, but give Rock credit, he got up quickly, even though he knocked it down and just threw toward the bag. Segura took care of the rest. Side is retired here in the 7th. Get some offense going. Chase Utley may have been a little overly aggressive on this play, but it's turned out to be our Hyundai defensive play of the game.
Well, it's a strong throw coming in. And Chase is safe right there, but his momentum takes him off the bag and allows to be the third out at second base.
Mentioned that he may have spun his wheels when he went around first. He took a real wide turn. Now watch this here.
Looks like he's safe at first, and then he just slides past the bag and there's nowhere to go.
Yep. Elvis Araujo is the new pitcher for the Phillies, facing Adam Lind.
It's been a while, but that's your Hyundai defensive play of the game, brought to you by your local Hyundai dealer.
Very nice, Matt. Very nice. A ball and 2 strikes to Lind. Lind is 0 for 2. Adam Morgan, you would tip a cap to him. 11 straight to finish off his outing here tonight. Fly ball shallow right center field. Dominic Brown calls emphatically that he has it. And there's one away.
You see the old glove come out and shoot him away?
Yeah, stay away. Stay away. There's Pete talking to Adam Morgan. Looks like he's going over something from the stretch position with Adam. They pronounce Pete's name wrong again tonight. They do it all the time. They call him Pete Mackinnon everywhere we go.
That's how it's spelled.
It's not how it's pronounced, though.
Nope.
Manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, Pete Mackinnon. Ball's 1 strike to Chris Davis. He homered his first time up, popped out to Cameron Rupp his other time. And it's 0-2. I asked Pete about Araujo's velocity because it has been down recently. We've seen more 88, 89, 90, 91 instead of 95. And Pete said, that's designed. He said it's trying to lasso his wildness. Because a lot of times he's wild when he is at 95. So he has it, he'll use it, but they'd like him to pull off it a little bit to get his command where it needs to be.
Makes sense. More movement.
More movement.
I mean, this is a 2-seamer. Changeup.
Changeup.
At 86.
And has the right-hander off his front foot.
Yeah.
Good numbers, though, for Araujo. 3.16 earned run average in 33 games coming in. Here's Herrera. Phillies ball boy Larry Bowe will go out and get the baseball. Larry always there to lend the helping hand. That one's off the foot of Herrera, and it's 0-2. It off the calf of Herrera.
Front leg. Oh, right up just below the knee.
Below the knee, yeah. And a strike 3 call. Back-to-back strikeouts for Araujo. That's 14 in a row retired by Phillies pitching. And we have completed 7. 2 more chances for the Phils. They trail it by 3 as we move to the top of the 8th. Today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. ShopNissan.com. And buy Budweiser. Still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. Changes for the Brewers. Peterson moves from center field to left field. The new center fielder is Logan Schaefer. The new pitcher is left-hander Will Smith. 5-2 with a 2.28 earned run average. So his numbers are kind of inverted. Left-handed hitters are hitting 275 against the lefty, and righties are hitting 148 against him.
Well, which is interesting because he's got a very good fastball, Tops out at 97 miles an hour. Curveball and a change, so he must not use the change a whole lot to left-handers, but the right-handers must see, I would say, a pretty good steady diet of change-ups.
Well, 62 strikeouts and 43 in the third. That's a lot of strikeouts. Brewers bullpen is at 3.50 for the year. Cesar shows bunt, takes strike one. It's 0-1. As a whole, the opposition's hitting .234 against the bullpen. Jeremy Jeffress, the hard-throwing right-hander, is warming up in the bullpen too. 1-1 pitch coming to Cesar. Low ball 2-1. Meanwhile, Hector Neris is in the pen for the Phils.
Take another one. Need base runners.
Inside, ball 4. It gets away from Lucroy, so the Phillies do have a base runner. It's their third walk of the night. And that'll bring Odubel Herrera to the plate. And while Odubel walks to the plate, let's check in with Greg Murphy with the Major League Notebook.
All right, thanks, Tom. It's brought to you by St. Joseph's University, and Miguel Cabrera is finally back in a Detroit Tigers uniform and back in their lineup after missing exactly 6 weeks with that strained calf that he has been battling. He returns to their lineup with a batting average of .350 and on-base percentage of over .450, both of which is tops in the American League, but not enough plate appearances right now to qualify for that. But by the end of the season, he should get there. Of course, the two-time MVP was expected to miss up to 8 weeks with that injury. Only missed 6, getting back a little bit early. And a lot of people in baseball talking about the shocking news about the manager in Boston, John Farrell, the Red Sox manager. He told reporters today that he was diagnosed with stage 1 lymphoma. Now, they're calling it very curable cancer, but he is going to undergo 9 weeks of chemotherapy. He is no longer going to manage the team for the rest of this season. Torey Lovello is going to take over for him, his bench coach, and will manage the rest of the season. However, Farrell does expect that he will be back in time for spring training. Obviously the treatment for that is very aggressive, and he's going to be off of his feet for a little while, but does expect that he'll be back in time for the Red Sox spring training. We certainly wish him the best. It is good news, certainly, that they caught it early, stage 1 lymphoma, but scary news nonetheless.
And Pete McCannon was talking about that today. It was a very emotional press conference, if you saw any of it, with John Farrell. And the Red Sox wins and losses seem to be so minute right now because of this. Rick Kranitz out to the mound to talk to Will Smith, who's running into a little bit of a command issue here. They count 2 balls and no strikes to Odubel Herrera and a runner at first base. Strikes a lot of guys out, doesn't have an opportunity for a lot of double plays. Odubel lines it into center field. That'll be in for a base hit. Hernandez on his way to third, and he'll get there. Odubel holds up at first, so the Phils have first and third with nobody out here in the 8th inning. And Ryan Howard is coming to the plate. Phillies are not light on hits here tonight. They have 7.
Well, this is a nice job right here. 2-0. Little visit from the pitching coach. Wanted to get back into the count of things, being aggressive with the fastball, and placing a line drive to right center.
Oh, they're content to allow the lefty to face the lefty here. Ryan Howard hitting only 140 against left-handed pitching. He has 3 home runs. He represents the tying run here in the top of the 8th inning. Probably would like that one back if he's thinking about adjusting to the breaking ball. That pitch was up. No balls, 1 strike.
Ryan's got like a little different area with his hands. His hands seem like they're
up.
Well, they're up a little bit. They're out from his body a little farther. He usually doesn't have that far away from his body.
We saw 3 different breaking pitches, all in different spots, and he missed all 3.
It's a hard slurve. Now it's a pitch that he's throwing for strikes. Let's see if Dominic Brown will sit on the off-speed pitch, first pitch, and hopefully for a mistake.
Dominic grounds it foul.
That's a curve or a slurve that I think Dominic Brown, if you'd like to have it back again, realizing that it was a hanger.
And he tries to sneak a fastball by him, and he's late on it. 94 miles an hour. Toyota Major League Scoreboard, the Pirates have taken a 3-1 lead over the Mets. That game's in the top of the 10th inning. No balls, 2 strikes to Brown, representing the tying run here in the top of the 8th inning. In the dirt, Lucroy blocks it. He's done a nice job with that tonight. Numbers of runners in scoring position have gone up for the Phils in recent weeks. Not tonight, though. 0 for 8. Popped up. That's not going to be deep enough to score Hernandez. 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. So many wasted opportunities here tonight. Well, this inning isn't over yet. It's Freddie Galvis who will bat. Jeff Francoeur is on the bench. He's waiting for a chance. Thought maybe they'd have him pinch hit for Dominic Brown. Then they probably would have brought in the right-hander, Jeffries, the hard-throwing right-hander.
Which I don't think Frenchie would have cared.
No. Runners lead off first and second. Freddie lifts it in the air, first and third, excuse me, lifts it in the air to center field. And Logan Schaefer's under it, makes the catch. Side is retired. No runs, 1 hit, 2 men left. The Phils have left 9 through the first 7.5. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's 3-0 in favor of the Brewers. Phillies take on the San Diego Padres. Enjoy the foods, music, and dancing of this annual event. Take part in a special live auction inside the first base gate. Proceeds benefiting Concilio in their efforts to provide social services in the Philadelphia Latino community. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Bottom of the 8th inning, Brewers lead at 3-0. And Hector Neris will be the new pitcher. Neris will face the bottom of the Brewers order. But it does not include the pitcher anymore. It includes Logan Schaefer batting 9th. Neris in 13 games, 2-0. With an earned run average of 2.50. And here's Peterson to lead things off. Peterson is 0 for 2. He's flying to left. He's grounded out to second. First pitch is outside. 1 ball, no strikes.
Those numbers shown there in the 7th inning, those are the numbers I like looking at for players. See what type of players they are late in games. Hitting .373, 7th inning on.
Yeah, we talked about that with Jeff Francoeur and how productive he's been from the 7th inning on.
Just certain guys feel comfortable hitting in that time of game, or some guys do not like having that kind of pressure.
So at a Major League scoreboard, the Yankees have defeated the Blue Jays 4-3. Carlos Beltran's 3-run home run gave the Yankees the lead. That ball is smoked out to left center field. Herrera's not going to get it. It's off the base of the wall. Peterson on his way to second will get there with a stand-up double. That is the first hit for the Brewers since the 3rd inning. Ball was out over the plate and he just drove it. He's down, but he drove it.
Well, it's a 3-1 fastball over third. Does a nice job of driving the ball, like you said, Tom, to left center, staying on top of it, keeping the right hip closed off the base of the American Family Insurance.
I would think they'll have Perez bunt here with the runner at second base and nobody out in the bottom of the 8th inning. Get another run.
Yeah.
They've got Schaefer, who came on to play center field in the on deck circle.
You would think, but you never know.
He is not bunting, at least now. It's 0-1. Every time the Phillies pitchers retire the opposition, 1-2-3. Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Now he shows bunt. Ball is low, 1-1.
I believe Perez is on his own. If he wants to hit, he can hit. If he wants to bunt, he can bunt. He's not getting any signs.
Yeah, Ed Cedars is standing there looking at the runner at second base.
Being a good third base coach, keeping a foot inside the coach's box where they're supposed to stand.
Gets away from Rupp and going over to third base is Peterson. That'll go down as a wild pitch. Hitting it down fast enough.
Yeah, it didn't. It hit off the heel of his glove.
That's popped up. Galvis backpedals. One away. At Here comes Logan Schaefer. That was a good pitch by Hector Neris.
Great location. Perez taking a defensive swing on a fastball under his hands. I mean, this is a severe jam shot. It's a deep drive to shallow short. Been there many, many times. That's where you walk in and say, man, they got the panels open up. The wind knocked it right down.
Phillies play the infield in. It's 0-1 to Schaefer.
Now you got to watch out for the squeeze right here.
That signal was. I think he's asking Craig Counsell to move. I don't think he can see. Or maybe somebody's blocking Craig Counsell. Over to second base, smothered by Utley. Looks the runner back to third. And he throws out Logan Schaefer. Fortunately, that was hit on the grass about 5 feet in front of the plate. And that slowed it just a little bit as it went out to Utley because it was still hit hard.
Ball down the zone. Chase does a nice job coming over there and smothered in the backhand. Watch the runner as long as possible, make a strong foot at first.
All right, so now they've got to get through Segura. The pitch is way inside, 1-0. Segura and then Lucroy. Trying to keep this at a 3-run game. Give the Phils a fighting chance in the top of the 9th inning. Francisco Rodriguez is warming in the pen. Chopper back toward the middle. Galvis is there. Has to hurry the throw. Does in time, and the Phils make sure that a run doesn't score. The leadoff double by Shane Peterson is left out in scoring position. So it means we're going to go to the 9th. Rodriguez warming up in the pen to come in and try to close it for the Brewers. Well, here we go. Top of the 9th inning. The Phillies trail at 3-0. Trying to get something going against Francisco Rodriguez. First pitch to Ashe is in there for a strike, and it's 0-1. Ashe tonight is 1 for 3. Singled in the 4th inning. Extended his hitting streak to 7 straight games. Out toward right center field. On the run is Braun. He's not going to get that one. It's off the base of the wall on one hop, and Cody will pull into second base with his 19th double of the year. So the leadoff batter is aboard for the Phils. Rodriguez 26 saves and 26 opportunities. So his streak of converted saves dates back to last year. He's converted 31 straight. He has 374 for his career.
The only thing that's changed in the scouting report on him is his velocity. 88 to 91, still has a good changeup and a good curveball.
Cameron fouls it off to the right.
It's a really good at bat by Cody Ashe. Staying through the middle, driving the ball to right center.
Well, that's a lot of success right there. For the Cardinals, it's because of Rosenthal. Because of the Nationals, it's because of Storen and now Papelbon, although Papelbon doesn't get many opportunities. One pitch coming to Rupp. There we go, 89 miles an hour. Back when he was saving 45, 47, 62 games for the LA Angels, it was mid-90s, right?
Easily, every pitch.
And then the changeup would come in at 86, 87.
Just dislocate your back, your knees, everything. Thinking you're going to get that 96, and all of a sudden he pulls the string. There's one guy in baseball I despised facing, was him, Rodriguez, because I could never ever figure out his changeup. I'd guess wrong every time. You know, when he comes set with his glove, I always tried to see if he was tipping.
For 3 years he led the American League in saves with the Angels. Again, the 0-2 pitch coming to Cameron Rupp. And Cameron tried to hold up. Did he go? Yes. One out. Jeff Francoeur is going to pitch hit.
Kind of surprised. This is a curveball. Oh yeah.
Without Francoeur, 276 with 10 homers and 35 runs batted in. Only his 8th at bat lifetime against Rodriguez, who has spent time with the Angels, the Mets, the Brewers twice, and the Orioles. Another one of those guys that folks thought would be traded before the deadline, but he's got an interesting contract. It's 2 years, this year and next year. The money's not horrible from a closer standpoint. It's $6.5 million per year, but there's also a team option for 17. There's a line drive caught. Boy, hit it right on the nose. Caught by Herrera, 2 outs. Well, it's time now for our W. Mason delivery of the game. One thing Gene Segura has been in this game, he's been exciting on the base paths.
Yeah, he has. This comes back. Sack fly. I call it a sack fly, man, on second base.
Sack fly.
Has a little collision. Herrera gets up, this is the first cutoff, man, but Galvis comes up, strong throw to home, and just a hair late on the tag. Toe gets in there a little quicker than the tag, so that is your WB Mason delivery of the game.
Part of the reason why the Brewers have a 3-0 lead. The home run by Chris Davis. started the scoring, and then Segura drove in one and scored one. Now there's 2 outs in the 9th inning for Chase Utley, who has 3 hits tonight. Chase takes on the outside corner. It's 0-1. That one's pulled in the hole on the right side of base hit. Ashe's around third, heading home. He's going to score. It's now a 3-1 ball game. And the tying run is coming to the plate again for the Phils. 4th hit of the night for Chase Utley, an RBI single. A little life left for the Phils. Here's Cesar, who walked his last time up. He's hitless in 3 at-bats tonight. There is the changeup. Boy, it does just die.
Yeah, it does. He's thrown 2 bad changeups so far today, and both have been hit for a double and a single by Chase and by Cody Ashe.
In the dirt, 1-1. Tomorrow we'll start things an hour earlier. 7:10 Eastern Time, 6:10 local time. He takes his lead off first. That one's down the left field line. On the run is Peterson, and he makes the catch, and the ball game is over. The Phillies, with so many opportunities here tonight, cannot muster more than the 1 run, so the Brewers take game 1 by a final of 3-1. Gene Segura was a big part of it offensively with an RBI.